Hi friends, you're watching Zealous Tribe Podcast with host Zoe Kiana Collins. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our channel for more inspiring teachings. Also, like this video, leave us a comment, and share it with a friend so that we can reach out and encourage others. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Zealous Tribe, and don't forget, you can join us anytime you want live on these calls Tuesday at 9 p.m. Dubai time and 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Just click the link in any of the bios on our social media platform. Let's begin. Hello, everybody, and welcome back to our second episode of this podcast, Zealous Tribe. So I have today with me one of my closest and dearest friends, Shavonda Stephens. So happy to have her on here. It's been a joy. We've known each other for years and years and years, and yeah.
Thank you for having me. I am excited to be here.
Okay, so let's dive into the deep stuff. Let's dive into the meat of what we're talking about. This is episode 2. We're talking about loving yourself to life. And excuse me. When I thought about this topic, I was like, who should I pick? And I was like, I'm gonna pick Shavonda to talk about this because I feel like you and I have like very similar personalities in a way.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's the case for you, but at least for me, I did struggle at different seasons with like liking my personality or thinking that my personality was like more masculine or something. Like, you know what I mean? Like my personality, it's ENTJ. It's like the rarest kind for women. We might be the same one, I don't know, but like it's common in men. So I was like, I'm not like the girly girl sort of. So I just want to talk about like loving yourself to life and just that journey that we've like have both went on, because I think that like since we've known each other, we've both grown like in that area, I think, which shows with our like happiness and joy for life. You know what I mean? So. Yeah, the Bible says in Mark 12:30-31 to love the Lord your God with all your heart, and with all your soul, with all your mind, all your strength. And then it says the second is like it, love your neighbor as yourself. There's no commandment greater than these. Love your neighbor as yourself. There's no commandment greater than these. So I remember my dad was telling me, even recently when him and my mom came here, he was just like, remember to love yourself. You know what I mean? Like, and you have to love your neighbor as yourself, which means first you have to love yourself. And if you're not loving yourself, you're not loving your neighbor well, right? You have to take care of yourself, be kind to yourself. So you can love yourself to life, but you can also like hate yourself to death, right? You can speak death over yourself. But have you ever struggled with loving or liking yourself, and what would you say to women who are currently struggling in this area?
Okay, so I think, and granted, you don't really remember much as a baby or whatever, but I remember having this conversation with my mom, and I realized that even from being in the birth canal, there was some type of rejection that was experienced for me, because my mom, she was a young mom, and this is not to say anything about my mom. I absolutely love my mom, but she was a young mom, and I was the second of her 4 children. And so she was around 16 or 17 when she conceived me, and is around 17 when she had me. And so she told me this story, and I was like, she was like, I was the only child that she thought about aborting. And so just as a young child, just feeling like unloved and rejected and all these things. And it wasn't until I really delved into the Bible and figured out that God loves me, and He created me for purpose, and He created me on purpose, and everything that I am, everything that is me was created on purpose. And so when I realized that, I was just like, there was so much weight lifted off my shoulders. I just realized that I am loved, and it's because of who God is, and because of what Jesus did on Calvary's cross, that I get to realize like who I am. And it's so amazing that we are all individuals, but somehow we kind of bond together into God's family. So for me, it was more about learning about who I am as it relates to who God says that I am, and that's what helped me with that. And what I would say to a woman that's struggling with who they are, there are these 5 questions that Dr. Miles Monroe he came up with. And so the first question is, who am I? and that deals with our identity. The next question is, where am I from? That deals with your origin. Why am I here? That deals with your purpose. What can I do? That deals with your potential. And where am I going? That deals with your destiny. And so when you're able to answer those five questions, you've basically like have a cheat code for what it is to be in existence on this earth, what it is that I'm supposed to do, where do I get my identity from? And I think that's one of the biggest things that we need to realize is like, how do I identify who I'm supposed to be and who am I to look to tell me who I'm supposed to be? So that's what I would say about that.
That's so good. That's so good. Yeah, one of the things like my dad always says also, he's like, whatever like happened to you in the past, it's not your fault. Like don't think on it, don't dwell on it, but like where you go from here, like be excited because the possibilities from here are, they're endless. And I think that's part of loving yourself to life too, is letting yourself be more than what you used to be, and just like letting yourself step into the new season, letting go of all of the other stuff, forgiving like other people that have like hurt you, but also in a way I think just forgiving yourself is part of loving yourself to life. You have to be kind to yourself, love yourself, be nicer to yourself. I think so oftentimes we're nicer to other people than we are to ourselves. Like like if we have like a little acne spot, we're like, oh, it looks horrible, but we wouldn't do that to each other, right? Yeah.
Listen, and even when you think about who is that, Joyce Meyer? I was listening to her one time, and she was just like, I'm so glad that God forgave me. It was like He knows that I'm gonna say something stupid down the road, and so it's like He's already forgiven me. And so forgiving yourself is such a big part of that. And it's just like, no, I can't account for every single thing that happened to me on the way like to where I am right now, but I'm responsible if I stay there. And when you think about it, it's like life is cyclical. And so when we go through cycles and seasons and all these things, and realizing that that is not going to stay the same. And Pastor Joe, your dad, he always says like what a difference a year makes. Zoe, I can tell you last year was terrible. It was horrible, at least in my eyes. I was like, it was terrible. But I was just like, when you think about it, you've outlived all of your bad days so far. And it's like, if I can outlive some of the stuff that has happened to me and some of the days that I thought I wasn't going to make it, the rest of my life is going to be, it's going to be easy. Because it's like, when you think about it from that point of view, it's just like, you're going to make it. And even if it doesn't look good right now, it's not going to always be like that.
Yeah, I love that. His teaching on, by this time next year, imagine what it could be like this year. Yeah. Dad's always snapping and snapping. For anybody who doesn't know, Shavonda goes to my parents' church like in Dubai. We've been in the same church for years and years. So we're used to like my dad's style of preaching, and you and I are both so similar to my dad in different ways. Like we like to like wake up early and do the things, and like we're like a D on the DISC assessment and like things like that. You know what I mean? I'll just talk a little bit more about that. I think that loving yourself is also, at least for me, that I've been sort of on a journey this last year or the last few months of loving myself in terms of like letting myself have close friendships. And I think that sometimes one of the ways that we can be harsh on ourselves or hate ourselves is thinking, like letting ourselves think thoughts that, oh, people don't like us, we won't be accepted, and then we become more isolated and we're not hanging out with friends. And I think that you and I's personality is so similar in the way of like, oh, we don't want to waste time, or maybe it's harder for us to trust people from past experiences. But eventually, like we got close, and you're one of my best friends now and stuff. But just different things like that, or different not letting yourself have friends almost was a way of that I at least was sort of like mean to myself and wasn't loving and caring of myself, because I was like, oh, I don't want to talk to those people, and they like, what am I gonna say? What am I like? They don't even need me, like, you know what I mean? So not really accepting like, oh wait, I have a place in this world and I have a voice in this world is another form of it's just loving yourself. It's like liking your personality and liking who you are and who God's made you to be, and dreaming. You're really good at dreaming. You probably have already started on your dream board. I need to get mine for next year. You know what I mean? But dreaming is a big part, I
Yeah,
think. It's not like in the
for
notes or
sure.
anything I prepared, but dreaming is a big part of loving yourself, I think, because
Yeah.
it's allowing yourself to be excited about the future, to be excited about
Yes.
your life, to be excited about you.
Yes.
But yeah, I would definitely say something about that.
Yeah.
You're good at dreaming.
Lit- well, and then the thing about it is, Pastor Joe always says, like, I'll take care of me for you, and you take
Mm,
care of you for me, and it's like, I when you said earlier, like, in order for me to love you, I have to love me.
mm,
And so if I'm not dreaming for me, there's no way that I can celebrate you as you dream.
mm-hmm,
It's impossible.
mm-hmm,
It's like it's going to be false, and that's not what we want. And when we think about who Jesus is and what he came to do, he came to give us liberty. He
mm,
wants for us to live freely,
mm,
and part of that is dreaming big. It didn't say that he came to give us life and just regular life. No, it says he came to give us life more abundantly.
mm.
And so if I want to live that abundant life, I have to believe that it's possible for me. And if I believe it's possible for me, I can believe that it's possible for you as well.
Yeah, that's so good. This is a very good point. I think that it's making me think of something that I was reading earlier this week, in that sometimes when it comes to like what we can accomplish or what we like believe is
Yeah.
possible, sometimes we
Mm-hmm.
think actually like, oh, it's easy to encourage somebody else, or it's easy to be like, you can do it,
Mm-hmm.
you've got this. But then when it comes to ourselves, we be like, who do you think you are? You little, like, I was reading David and Goliath, we talk to ourselves like Goliath talked to David, or like
Yeah.
David talked to Goliath. We're like, who do you think you are, you little boy? You're coming at me with sticks. You know what I mean? But it's like,
Yes.
wait, no, like I'm come in the name of the living God. You know what I mean? So
Yes, for
it's
sure.
so good to know. Another thing Dad says is like, we're just talking about Dad. Dad, if you're watching
Yes.
this, like, we love you so much. You've taught us. You've forgotten more than
Taught
we've
us
ever
well.
learned, which is
That's
probably
good.
that's
That's
true for
really
me
good.
at least. But
Yeah.
yeah, it's very good. Psalms 139:14 says, "I praise you because I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. Your works
Mm-hmm.
are wonderful, and I know that full well." My cousin Zayn, she's like such a cute girly girl. She's very similar
Mm-hmm.
to my mom in the way that they're just girly. Like I feel like they're so easy to be around. They're like refreshing, and they're just like sweet girls. And I don't know. And then they do like their perfume and their makeup and stuff.
Yeah.
And I just
Yeah.
have never been like that. And I
Yeah.
don't know. So I sort of wanted to talk about that. And like you don't have to be like other people or like spend your time like them, or you don't have to like the same things as other
Yeah.
people like. In like getting married, there were certain things that I was surprised how much I enjoyed them that I didn't really think that
Mm-hmm.
would be my thing before, like
Yeah.
cooking or baking. Like it's fun to me, or I don't know,
Yeah.
arranging the house or grocery shopping or folding clothes. I just like it. I think it's kind of fun.
Yeah.
And but with my personality, I don't necessarily like to do some of the things that girly girls do, or like my grandma, she would like to call and talk in detail about like how I made a specific dish. And because it's
Yeah.
my personality in my mind, I'm like, oh, it's a waste of time to me. I can send you the recipe, and you can just do it if you want. Like, you're not gonna make it. Like, you know what I'm talking about? Like, just different
Yeah.
personalities. And so obviously, like, Dad talks about like self-awareness is not being like I'm a jerk and I know it. So we have to like celebrate other people and like integrate
Yeah.
with other people. But I think that I think it sort of came out almost more like after getting married. Like I had certain ideas of like what a woman was
Yeah.
supposed to be like, and then I tried to fit into like
Mhm.
this mold of like what I saw my mom being like, and then I was like,
Yeah.
wait, I'm a little different than that. Or
Yeah.
even thinking like what was like manly to me. Like to me, maybe a man like walks really fast like my dad, you know what I mean?
Mhm.
But Jonathan doesn't
Yeah.
walk super fast, so I had like this dilemma inside. Or maybe I received love like from a man from my dad in a certain way, like
Yeah.
taking lots of pictures together and posting them, but Jonathan doesn't have social
Yeah.
media.
Yeah.
So I think that like the way that I thought of a man was one way because of what I've
Yeah.
seen. And it's the same thing with
Mhm.
women. Like the way that we think a woman is supposed to be like, this is what a woman is based a lot of
Yeah.
times on what we see. You know what I mean? And so in that, I sort of like began to have this dilemma because I thought I was supposed to be like my mom, or I was supposed to be like my cousin, because
Mhm.
there's people that I like admire and I think that they're so
Yeah.
sweet, or we see things on social media and like, oh, should I be like that? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But what would you say to someone who wants to be a godly woman? She's called to be like, she's trying to be like, I want to be in the Word, I want to be godly, but she doesn't know what it's supposed to look like for her specifically.
Yeah.
Like, what do you think about that?
So, okay, so I was everyone everyone wants to be the Proverbs 31 woman because she just has it going on, right? And but the thing about it is everyone wants to start out that way. But not all of our lives shape up to be like that. And when you think about it, there are other women in the Bible that are good examples of what God can do in our lives. And so when you think about a Mary Magdalene who had these demons cast out of her, no, she wasn't the Proverbs 31 woman to start off with, but eventually she became. And so when we think about who it is that we are supposed to become, it is a continuous, perpetual thing. And so we're becoming each and every day. Martha, she was a worrisome something. And, eventually, like when Jesus checked her, it was like, okay, now I have this epiphany. I can be different. And when you think about the woman at the well, when Jesus told her all her business, this lady, she went and she started telling people about Jesus. So did she start off like the Proverbs 31 woman? No, she did not. But as she became that person, she realized who it is that she's supposed to be. And I think a lot of times when we accept who we are and how God created us, because I was like, my personality can be very strong sometimes. And even when you talk about like being a little bit masculine, you know that when we play games, I always want to win. Like I'm so loud about it.
You guys, every time that we play games, Shavonda's sort of like, just so you know, I'm gonna win. I'm like,
I'm win. And even like sometimes with the guys, sometimes I'll be the only girl out there playing pool with the guys, but it's because I know that I'm good and I'm gonna win. And so when you think about that, it's just like I can't look at anyone else and say I wish I was them. Because when you say that, inherently what you're saying is I'm willing to go through what they went through to get to that place. And 9 times out of 10 we're not. So it's like, what journey am I supposed to be on? And someone that can truly help us with that is the Holy Spirit. Because a lot of times we discount him and we don't ask him to guide us as he was created to do or as he is. But the Holy Spirit can teach you so much about being a woman. He can teach you so much about just everything that we need in life. And it's just like, I don't have to desire to be someone else. I can admire what they have the capacity to do, but I have to accept the giftings that God has given me and realize that I was like Esther. It was for this appointed time that I'm here. And so it's like, how do I serve the world what it is that God has given me? I can't serve the world what Zoe has. I can only serve the world what Shavonda has been given by the Father.
It's so good, yeah. I was looking at your social media, like maybe it was a week and a half ago, and I think you said something about like being you takes courage, so be the best you can be, or something like that, yeah. And you had like a cute little selfie.
Yes. I was like, when you think about it, it's like it takes courage to be yourself and sometimes walk alone. Sometimes you have to walk alone. Sometimes you have to say, I'm not going there. I'm not eating this. I'm not saying that. I'm not going to go to this place. People invite me places and they probably like, I'm never inviting Shavonda anywhere because she never comes. But you have to be strategic about where it is that you go, because if I go there, then I come into agreement with what's going on. And so you have to guard your heart about where it is that you're going to be. And as I get older, I'm getting older. As I get older, I'm realizing that I don't have to go. I don't have to do it just because somebody wants me to. And it's like part of that is about protecting who you are and who it is that God wants you to be.
So good. Very, very good. My next question on here is, I know you're similar to me in that you like to read a lot of books on leadership or maybe self-awareness. One of my favorite books I ever read was John Maxwell's book, The Self-Aware Leader. I thought it was so good. I marked it up. But why do you think self-awareness is self-love? I know my Pastor Joe, my dad, he talks about like the more that you know about God, the more that you know who he is for you, the more that you will know about yourself. And it changes things. It changes your view on stuff. But why do you think that self-awareness is so important, and why do you think that it's part of loving yourself? What is that? What do you think about that?
I think that self awareness is self love because it allows for you to set boundaries.
Mm,
It allows for you to also guard your heart.
mm,
It allows for you to decide what you will do, but it also determines what you won't do. So if I
good.
know who I am and what I desire, and the even thinking about pleasing God with who I am, there are certain things that I can't do, places that I'm not going to go. There's it's just I'm just not going to do it because I'm aware of who it is that God wants for me to be. Now, do I always get it right? Absolutely not. However, you have to also listen to the prompting of the Holy Spirit because He will tell you, like, hey, don't do this, don't go here, turn this way, take this route, take a jacket with you to the movies, or whatever it is. Like He guides us in the way that we should go, and the biggest thing is being aware of who we are. It's that's just the ultimate love that you can give yourself. And so if I'm loving myself and I'm aware of who I am, I can easily let you be you. If I'm
Mm,
aware of who I am and I love myself, if I love me, then I can love you, and I can allow for you to love you in the way you need to love you.
so good. Let me turn the AC off really fast. Came on, it was like, but
Listen, let me tell you, my AC is off right now, and I was just like, man, am I gonna make it?
oh no, oh, that's terrible. At least you
But
moved
it's
into your
okay.
new place where there's not a smell when the AC comes in, right?
Oh
Oh.
my God, Zoe, when I tell you that last year was a year, it was a year. It was a year, but thank God for blessings and for realizing that you're worth it. Like honestly, and I knew it, but I was like, I was in a place, and I'm so thankful that God has helped my life. My
Mhm.
God,
Mhm. Yeah. Don't we can't stay in the pit. We got to get ourselves out of the pit. I think that that's part
what?
of like self-awareness is like your little sound effect is so cute. But part of self-awareness too is I mean like realizing like okay, you have to know where you are so that you can know
Yeah,
where you want to go. You know what I mean? So we
yep.
have to be like, wait, okay, I don't like there's been a lot of moments in my life where I don't like this specific thing that I've been doing or
Hmm.
that's like that attitude that I've been having on. I'm like, wait, okay, I got to snap out of that. I gotta get better. I gotta, like you said, keep on becoming. But it's very, very good. Another thing that I want to talk about a little bit is I want to talk about comparison because I think specifically, like we're talking about comparing ourselves to other women that we know, but now with social media and stuff, it's so easy to compare ourselves to like so many people, like the
Yeah.
sea of people that we can compare ourselves to that we look at, and
Hmm.
not even we're not even necessarily meaning to. We just see them
Yeah.
and we admire them and we're like, oh, that's cool. Or I think
Hmm.
that and I think that this thing's cool about them, or they talk really well, or they dress really
Yeah.
cool, or they have like an easy style, or they have nice skin, or whatever it is. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And or their relationships are fun, and I think that it's so easy. We look at their life that they're posting. That's like not that they're meaning to like be fake or anything, but
Hmm.
we see like the best moments of their life, and
Yeah.
then we're in a bathrobe and our hair is not looking nice, and we're like, well, why aren't I like that? But it's like that was like a moment for them, like that
Yeah.
was like,
Yeah.
but us, you know what I mean? And so, yeah, I think I just want to talk about comparison, and
Yeah.
I want to talk about 1 Peter 3, 4. It
Mm.
says, "Your beauty should not come from outward adornment, such as elaborate hairstyles or wearing of gold jewelry." Okay, I have to stop real quick. Jonathan and I were walking near the beach the other day, and I
Uh huh.
saw like for his birthday, and I saw like an earring, and it was like a large earring. Remember the one I gave you from Walmart, like the
Yeah.
set? It was something like that. Yeah, but it was like a silver color, and somebody had lost their one earring. And I was gonna
Uh
take a
huh.
picture, but I didn't bring my phone at that specific place. And I was like, "This is an earring Shavonda would like." Anyway, but we don't want
Do
our
you know I look
hairstyles.
for those? I look for those earrings every time I go to Walmart. Every time.
Really? Oh
Every
my,
time.
they were cute. They were cute.
I love them.
Uh huh. But elaborate hairstyles or wearing of gold jewelry or fine clothes, rather it should be that of your inner self, the unfading beauty of a gentle, quiet spirit, which is of great worth in God's sight. And I love that it says in God's sight. It's just it's good to not be comparing it because you know I don't know. Especially, it's interesting for me when I got married to put a quick stop to comparison. Because if like
Yeah.
one wife did this, I thought I needed to do that, or because my mom did that, I
Yeah.
thought I didn't do that. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Plus, there's like no hiding in marriage. You see each other at all times. The worst and best
Yes.
part. So like when you're dating, I was like, oh, you can show what you want to show, and then when you're married, they see everything. Like,
Everything.
all of your
Yeah.
life, all your emotions, all your whatever.
Yeah.
So I remember with Jonathan, I started to sort of like demand, and all of a sudden way like words of affirmation from Jonathan to combat like these feelings that I had inside,
Yeah.
which was
Yeah.
really just me comparing myself to others. And I was like
Yeah.
using it as the excuse of like, oh well, it's my love language, words of affirmation. You know what I mean? So I had like a very freeing revelation when I remembered
Yeah.
that. Wait, yes, like one of my love languages is words of affirmation. And it's okay for me to
Yeah.
receive love from my husband that way. But more than
Mm-hmm.
anyone, I have to get my worth, my validation, my affirmation, my confirmation from
Yeah.
God. And it's like in God's sight, like the verse says. So to put Jonathan in that place of like I need him to do that for me was just unfair. It was a me problem. So like we are
Yeah. Yeah.
saying,
Yeah.
like yes, the Proverbs 31 woman, her husband, it says he praised her at the gates and said, many women do noble
Yes.
things, but you surpass them all. You know what I mean? And that
Yes.
wasn't her focus though, like surpassing them all. She was
Yeah.
just focused on doing noble things. She was focused on serving God. She was,
Yeah.
and then the praise for things came later. And Dad was talking, I think it was on the week of prayer, about how there's a big difference between trying to impress people and living
Yeah.
an impressive life. And I love that because I think that
Yeah.
it's so easy to get caught up in that, like just being and just enjoying like your time with the Lord and your fellowship with the Lord,
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
trying to be impressive and almost trying to show off and have people affirm us. We all want people to be like, oh, you're so cool, you're so great,
Yeah.
you're so talented, you're so
Yeah.
gifted. Like it feels good. It like toots our horn
Yeah.
when people tell us that. And but
Yeah.
our identity has to be in who God says we are, and not
For sure.
even other people telling us who God says we are, but we just have to like know it for ourselves and find our rest
Yeah.
and peace in Him. His Word tells us who we are. His Word tells us our worth. But
Yeah.
I want to ask, why is it so important to not compare yourself to women? What would you say? Like, why is it so damaging? Why is it so unhealthy to compare yourself to other people, to other women, or
Mm-hmm.
even to try and get validation from other women or from just other people in general? What do you
Yeah.
think? What would you say
Yeah.
on that?
Okay. So the part of the reason why I wake up early in the morning is so that I can have a day before my day starts. And part of that is quieting myself, getting to the point where I can think original, authentic thoughts.
So good.
And so it's so important that we're able to listen and understand who we truly are on the inside. Because every time you look on social media, someone is telling you the perfect way to do a squat or to, whatever. Like it's like never ending.
So good.
People are always giving you expert advice on this or that or what you need to be doing with your money or what all the time. And it's like if that's the first thing you wake up doing is checking your phone to get the ideas from other people about who you should be, you're in trouble. We're in trouble. And so it's so important that we have that time when we disconnect and we truly have conversations with God, because honestly, if you're a believer, you need to be getting your identity from the Lord. You need to be listening to Him about who it is that He wants for you to be. And honestly, when you look at other people's lives, sometimes you ever seen those stories where it's like this person living this type of life is like luxurious and all these things, and then you find out that they're about to like they have all these tax liens and like they wind up in jail for fraud and it's like you put this person on the pedestal and it's like it's fake. It's like it's fake. And so because we don't know the full story of everything that people have to do to keep whatever it is that they're showing off, and it's possible that they just have it going on like that. But it's important for me to ground myself one in the Word of God, and then who it is that God has called me to be.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what helps me not compare myself to other people, and realizing that, hey, we don't have the same like gifts and talents, and God gave them what he gave them for a purpose and for a reason, and he gave me what he gave me for a reason and for a purpose. They can't do what I can do, and I can't do what they can do, but he created it so that we need each other. And so it's not like anybody escapes. It's like we need each other in order to be at our absolute best. And so that definitely helps to ground me for sure when you think about comparison. And then when you think about the fact that God knows, he knew that this was going to be this way for you, or you're going to look like this, or you're going to have this type of feature or whatever. And he sent us here anyway. And so he doesn't start anything until he finishes it. So he finished us first, and then he started us here on this earth. And so because God in all of his infinite wisdom knew exactly what we would need to experience in this life and knew what we were going to experience, he created us the way that he wanted us to be. And so if you have this face, or you have this nose, or these eyes, this hair, these dimples, whatever it is, he knew you would be successful anyway.
Yeah.
So whatever it is that you have, he knew that you would be successful because he created you.
Yeah.
And when he looked at us, he said, "It's good."
Yeah.
It's good. So if he looked at me and says that it's good, who am I not to believe him?
So good. So good. Yeah, I think that's good with like our appearances, our personality, everything is good. But then also I think that one thing I'm thinking about while you're talking is like another area that's so easy to compare is our journey that we have compared to the journey other people have. I've heard people talk about how like, you know, an elephant, I think elephants are in the womb the longest amount of time. I think it's like 3 years or something like that. But then they're like the biggest babies when they're born.
3 years.
Yes, I know. But they're like the biggest babies. Like they're very large when they're born. You know what I mean? So you know? And I've heard it compared to like puppies, and they're not in the womb very long, but they come out as a litter, and there's like a bunch of them. Do you know what I mean? So you want to be like the standoff, like all by yourself elephant, or do you want to just be like a part of everybody else? Do you know what I mean? But I think of the story of like Joseph in the Bible, and really so many of the stories, but specifically Joseph in the Bible. Like he goes from like he has this dream, and he's like, "Ooh, I'm gonna be like in the palace." And so many of us like we have the dream. We're dreaming with God. We're dreaming with the Holy Spirit, and we like have this on the inside of us, like, "Oh God, you called me to this, and I know that I'm meant for greatness." But then we experience the pit, we experience the palace, we experience the prison, we experience, you know, like all of these things that we don't want and we don't like. And then we see other people, and it seems like they have all the good breaks, and everything works out for them, and everything's so easy for them, and they didn't have to do the hard things that we had to do, and we think like, with all the hard things I did, I should have a bigger reward, I should have it better, you know what I mean?
But we think that in our mind, because we have no idea what this person went through to get to. And a lot of times we put, what did it say, the wagon before the horse, or however it said. There's this 3-word thing that I hear from this guy named what is his name? Whatever his name is, Myron Golden, that's his name. So he says, be, do, have. We don't want to become who we have to become in order to have what we want to have. We want to have before we be or do. No, you need to become the person that it's possible for. You have to do the things necessary, and then and only then will you have the things that you desire to have. Is it going to be the same that somebody else has? No, it's not. However, if you become who you're supposed to be and you do the things necessary to have, you're going to get those things. And so a lot of times we try to rush the process. Imagine how many destinies in the Bible would have been forfeited if they would have went straight from the calling to the elevation. Imagine how David already had stuff going on, and he had to wait a long time in order to become the king. Imagine if there was a shortcut for him. It would have been terrible. Imagine if Joseph, if he would have went from having his dream to being second in command in Egypt. it would have been terrible.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like when you think about you having to go through things in order to get to what it is that God has for you,
Mm-hmm.
it's like you say thank you, Father.
Mm.
Because if I had received what I desired when I wanted it, I would have messed it up.
Mm.
But
So
you and
good.
all your infinite wisdom realize that in order for me to appreciate this thing, in order for me to stay in the place that you've put me, I had to go through some stuff.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It may not feel good while we're going through it, but it's like when we get to the other side of it, it's like I can see why I had to wait for this. I can see why I had to go through that because it prepared me for this place.
So
You
good.
don't want you don't want to put yourself someplace where you can't stay.
Mm. Yeah. Yeah. I like
Why? Yeah, go ahead.
Jim Rohn just talks about if you get $1 million, you better become a millionaire fast, otherwise you'll lose it, right?
And people honestly think like, and Pastor Joe says start when the amount is small,
Mm.
because people like, oh, when I make this money or get this or get that. No, you become more of who you are when you get more.
Mm.
And so if I don't spend wisely when I have little, when I get a lot of money, I'm not gonna magically become this great steward.
Mm.
No, if I have a little bit of time right now, if I don't steward that well, when I get a lot of time, I'm going to blow it. And
Mm.
so it's like, no, start when the amounts are small. Start with, do not despise small beginnings, because it's like it's what you do with the small things
So
that helps to basically, what is the word that I want to use, that qualifies you for more.
mm.
What are you doing with what God has already
Yeah.
entrusted you with? Are you going to be the one with the 5 talents that gains 5 more, the one with 2 that gain 2, or are you going to be the one that goes and hides it and then get it taken away? No, you got to choose which guy you want to be.
Mm. Mm. So good. Very good. There's another saying that I really enjoy and that my dad has taught me. It says, well, he said, what happens, like, happens to all of us. Sometimes we think,
Yeah,
like, we're the only ones that have that challenge, or we're the only ones that have that
yeah,
difficulty. And sometimes it is true. Sometimes other people, they do just, like, sometimes it does just work out quickly for them.
yeah,
And we've been doing it for years, and it's been challenging, it's been hard, you know what I
yeah,
mean? And it's so easy. Yes, there's things that are behind the scenes, there's things that are behind the scenes for us, but there's like this illustration of somebody who's like digging in the dirt, and then he gives
yeah,
up like so close before the diamonds, you know what I mean? Like he's so close to the finish line. And so
yeah.
we can't be that with our own lives. We have to continue to be
Wow.
excited and stuff about what's
Yeah,
going on. We have to be excited about what's going on in our own life. I think that, like,
yeah,
if it's like, some people do that with everything. They think that the grass is greener on the other side, right? Like that job or that company looks better, or that church is cooler, or that life is, you know what I mean? But we have to
yeah,
enjoy ourselves. And comparison really, it leads you to feeling like better than somebody else or
yeah.
less than somebody else, you know,
Mm-hmm.
and both of them
Yeah,
are wrong. Both of them are pride. And I've
yeah,
learned that trying to like exalt yourself can be a very humbling experience. You know,
yeah,
comparison makes it a competition between you and somebody else, but we're
yeah,
just supposed to be loving and love ourselves, to love others.
yeah,
You know, like, should we get better? Yes, of course we should get better,
for
but
sure.
the scale for how good we are can't be other people, or if the scale, the measure for if we're on track or not can't be somebody else's life or somebody
Yeah,
else's journey,
yeah,
because our journey is just so much different than theirs. But
yeah.
last ending thoughts, how do you love yourself to life? What would you say to somebody, you know, wanting to love yourself to life? Joyce Meyer talks about, I know I'm not where I should be, but thank God I'm not where I used to be. You know,
Yes.
we have to love the journey, all the things. But what would you say about loving yourself to life?
Be careful what you say to you. It's so important the way that you talk to yourself.
Mm.
Um, when you think about life and death being in the power of the tongue, what you we think that once we release something out of our mouths that it just dissipates,
Mm.
but it doesn't. The Bible tells us that when you speak a word, it like lingers in the air waiting for the time to fulfill.
Mm.
And so it's like, what do I want my reality to be? Do I want my reality to be full of doom and gloom? So if that's what I desire, then I'm just going to speak death over my entire life. But if I want life to happen, if I want abundance to come, if I want to experience the life that Jesus really came for us to have, then the words that I say are so important. So to myself, I need to say I'm fearfully and wonderfully made. I need to say that I'm a royal priesthood. I need to say to myself that I'm fearfully made. I have to say these things to myself.
So
and I have to think these things to myself. So thinking about those things that are noble, those things that are of good report. If my eyes are full of light, then my whole body is full of light. And so just realizing that I need to ensure that I am good for me, so that when I go into the world, I can be the best light to other people. And so when you think about it from that perspective, I have to love me. I have to speak well to me. I have to eat properly. God help us all. And exercise and take care of myself and do all the things that just help me to love me more. So if I look in the mirror and I don't necessarily like what I look like, then I need to do something about that so that I can love me more. And all it's going to do is benefit the world. If I love me more, it's going to benefit the world. And God calls us to love our neighbors as we love ourselves. And so if I'm concerned about humanity, if I'm concerned about those around me, then I have to take care of me, and I have to love me, and I have to speak kind to me. Because all it's going to do is permeate out of me. It's like only out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaks. So whatever is in me is going to come out. And what I want that to be is love. What I want that to be is joy. What I want that to be is kindness and gentleness. And so it's a work in progress. Yes, it may seem like it's easy to say those things now. It's a work in progress, because there's some people who will push every single button, and I like to say they will get on your first, third, and last nerve. But it's like you still have to, within yourself, be like, okay, sometimes people don't love them, and so they can't treat you properly, but am I going to allow for that to make me treat them differently? And so if there's goodness on the inside of me, only good can come out of that.
So good. Very good. I as closing thoughts, I used to think, as when the whole thing started coming out on social media, of like self-care and this and that, I was like, oh, that's so selfish. People should be thinking of other people. You know what I mean? And of course there is the element to it where probably what's being shown on the mainstream of social media is very selfish. Self-care Sunday. Don't think about other people. Just think about yourself. How do you feel? You know what I mean? But it is really important to be, like you said, be taking care of yourself. I wrote down to be kind to yourself, speak life over yourself and your own ideas. Don't tear yourself down. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I love it. I love thinking good thoughts about myself. It's so important. You feel better. I can't remember who it was, but they said I'm 1,000 times bigger on the inside than I am on the outside. You gotta be like, stir yourself up in the morning. Be like the woman in the story that Joel Osteen tells, like, girl, you look good today. And tell yourself good things. Love yourself. And then, like you said, it makes you so much more equipped to go out there, to love other people, to be an encouragement for other people, because really you're showing them an example of how to love themselves, how to love life. And we're supposed to be salt. We're supposed to be light of the world, right? We're supposed to be people that are like attractive, and that people are like, what's different about you? And it's not necessarily our looks, our earrings, our hairstyles. It's what's on the inside, right? Are we pleasing in God's sight? And really, if we're pleasing in God's sight, if we're living an impressive life like with the Lord, it's gonna show up to other people, and that's the thing. Focus on your, like, the Lord, you know what I mean, and what He thinks about you, what He says about you, and everything else falls into place. But very good. Thank you, Shavonda, for sharing us wisdom, how to love ourselves to life, and loving ourselves. I really appreciate you being on here and just your friendship. So thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. And I absolutely love you. And I can't wait to see you on this side of the world again.
I know. Thank you so much, Shavonda. Everybody else, hope that you enjoyed this podcast, and we will see you next Thursday for another episode. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe to our channel for more inspiring teachings. Also, like this video, leave us a comment, and share it with a friend so that we can reach out and encourage others. Be sure to follow us on Instagram at Zealous Tribe, and don't forget, you can join us anytime you want live on these calls Tuesday at 9 p.m. Dubai time and 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Just click the link in any of the bios on our social media platforms. That's all for today's podcast, Zealous Tribe. We'll see you next week.